Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi here with another video. Here I'm doing DARPA on Heroic. I just recorded this and in the middle of it my dumb dogs went so crazy that I paused it, and I'm so incompetent that it just erased the first half of the recording. So I'm recording it again. So I'm going over my build again. Yesterday I put out a video of my main DPS build, or the day before I put out a video of my main DPS build. And yesterday I put out a video that kind of went over this build. And I wanted to go more in depth on it because this is the build I play all the time. And the title of this is Irresistible. The reason why I put Irresistible is because the damage goes through walls, goes through everything. And this is the toughest fight of DARPA for most groups when I played it, because there's these stupid drones that come in waves and you're kind of stuck in an area. The mechanics of the game are to make you a sitting duck. This is one of the reasons I started doing this build, is when I started running more heroics and I started running legendary. When you face Black Tusk, you realize that you're facing drones quite a bit, you're facing dogs, you're facing Johnny Fives, and I wanted a way to stop those because my groups would just have a hard time. Maybe I was playing with bad people, but I'm just playing pickup. So in the experiment, I've never stopped playing pickup. So yes, has the whole player base in the Division 2 gotten better? Yes. Could it also be that, you know, with the addition of me with this build, my groups have gotten better? Yes. I played quite a bit before. I have 3 different accounts. I ran into someone that said they had 7 accounts. I only have 3. I don't have 7. That's a lot. And I probably had, you know, on the one account I was like 1,600. So I'm not one of those guys that have like 25,000 shield watch points. No, I'm not one of those guys at all. Those guys, I admire those guys. Or even 10,000. I probably got about 6,000 skill points between all the accounts. So again, I have Vile Mask that when you put a status effect on someone, it's an exotic piece. When you put a status effect, it causes a 10-second damage debuff on the enemy. That's impacted by your explosion, half the explosion of a grenade, and what your status is. So I have the 2 main pieces of this build are really the Vile Jammer Mask, and then there's a China Light backpack I have that has Creeping Death on it. Creeping Death then spreads that to everyone, that effect you put on them. Now you might say that's redundant if I'm doing Jammer Pulse. And you might be right, but the thing is, I'm spreading status effects with a Scorpio. So a Scorpio in front of a spawn point is spreading it to everyone. The idea is you're always putting this dot on everyone, the damage over time. If you ever played any other MMORPGs, in WoW it's a Warlock, in other things it might be a Bleed, but you're putting a damage over time on someone. And on my tank build, on that Bleed, if you use Ridgeway, breastplate, chest piece, it heals you. So like that's a life-stealing type of build, is something that I always want. If you play in legendaries, you will realize that if you do not have enough damage, the enemy will push you hard. Watch 1 or 2 of your people go down. Watch when you're in a legendary and someone disconnects, someone leaves, and a person goes down. They start throwing drones. I'm thinking of District Union. I'm thinking of Roosevelt Island. And, you know, on Capitol, they'll just rush you. Right? They have those rushers. So you're always constantly getting pushed. So that's the genesis for some of this. that's why I go back to this build over and over. I feel bad I don't really have a weapon DPS. One of the commenters said that, you know, it's easy to build those. I don't think it's easy. I think people that do weapon DPS and they optimize their builds, they're great. I love having it in a group. I have videos where I'm supporting and they're just mowing everything down. I've been in those groups as a skilled DPS. I showed you a video the other day. I was a skilled DPS when I went over that build, and it felt like I carried everyone in there. They were pulsing and doing that stuff, but I was, you know, I'm putting out a crap ton of damage. So there's a place for everyone. I think I've told you before, I have a video where we did Legendary Capital with my sons, and we were both, well, all three of us were playing this same build, and I could just feel the lack of horsepower in it. So it's a good build. I'd like to keep it in my arsenal. What are other pieces? I have like 2 Hannah pieces. Hannah has, if that's it's a yellow piece, it has the first attribute is skill haste, the next one is skill damage. I still like to have skill damage with a turret, because imagine you're on Legendary District Union and you're on the top floor. There's a place that has 3 floors. You run to the top floor, 2 chungas come out and slowly come at you, and you have nowhere to go. So that turret helps in those situations. So we got through that hard fight. Now we're coming to this next fight. If this is the one I'm thinking about, I think I'm going to jump down eventually if I go to the fight instead of getting here. Thanks for waiting for me, fellas. This is one of those wide open fights that's all over the place. These are the hard fights that usually when you're in a group, that you got enemies all over, up, down, multi-dimensional, 6-sided fights. But I have a circle-shaped AoE that's going to go top, up, down, side to side. And so I don't even look at the other people I'm damaging. I'm just putting damage. I know after 3 pulses, they're going to go down on a heroic, on a legendary, the red. On a legendary, I know I'm going to take out healing pots, healing hives that the enemy puts out. On Capital, if you've seen any of my videos on Capital, I'm just pulsing behind a wall. And I'm going to say this, but it's not true, but it feels like sometimes if we get past that first fight and we get inside, once we take out that pulse, that EMP thing, I can almost guarantee, if I don't fuck up, I can guarantee I can get people to the end, and we're going to beat the boss every time, because I'm going to pulse them. It's just that powerful. Now, when those guys die and they're waiting to get rezzed and all that, I'm sure it's not fun for them. But I just want to get the dumb exotic. So at this point, my armor's at expertise 16 on all these pieces. And so you'll look at my armor health, it's like 3 5s plus 3 more. So it's near 1,000,000, let's say. And I don't get one shot anymore. Right, so I have that survivability. I have Unbreakable on my chest piece. Now, a Gila piece that gives 5% armor. And that Unbreakable, because I traded off, on every yellow piece, you have 2 attributes plus the main thing. Why do skilled builds, why do I recommend skilled builds for new players? No matter what skill build piece you get, the main attribute is always maximized. It's a +1. On reds and blues, they're not always +1. Hey, knock it off. So, that's why I recommend yellows for beginners. Number 2, a God rolled piece for me is one of the attributes I'm looking for, and the +1 yellow, and then I can roll the other piece. Now, if it's a chest piece or a backpack, that's a little bit different. You have one more thing to consider, but it's easy to cobble those pieces together. They're more flexible than the greens. The greens, Eclipse Protocol might, you know, the best thing about Eclipse Protocol is once you kill something that dies from your effect, it carries on, you know, it spreads it. But I'd rather have Creeping Death on a backpack because that's going to spread it to everyone. And you see in this part, there we can't physically get to them. They can be in cover, but there's no cover from a jammer pulse. It's irresistible. Now what you're going to see here is I'm going to change my build because I think someone else has a pulse in there. And it's tough if we're both pulsing. If we're not coordinated, you know, we're overriding each other's pulse and making it hard to get the vial. And congratulations to that guy. So I'm going to switch my build out to my gunner build, where I'm going to change the pulse to, if I'm smart, to whatever that's called, Banshee. So I'm going to do a Banshee pulse. Now the Banshee pulse is, here's the positives. Its status effect lasts longer than the EMP pulse. But here's the negatives. It's omnidirectional in only one level. That is, I can't kind of shoot it up the stairs. So on flat fights, it's fantastic. On everyone other than Black Tusks, I would probably say it's preferable if you're in a group. Because again, I'm getting the same vial mask. I'm just not getting people behind me. I'm not getting people up. Usually those are fights with, you know, when you're doing those bounties for the Black Tusks to kill those guys. I sit in, what's that one, it's Micro? It's in that, place where they have the tower, they're talking about the radio stuff. I just sit out of cover. I'm not in the line of sight of anyone, and I just pulse them until they're dead. Now, I don't ever show you that video because it's really boring, but it's how powerful it is. Does everyone need to have it? No, you should just have it in your kit where if someone has it and you can run through there. I talked to someone recently, or talking in comments, and we're talking about, I have no problem taking heroic control points or anything. I just stay in cover and I pulse them. And they have a turret out, they just don't ever see me. And I'm also playing, kind of quick aside, I'm also playing hardcore mode on the Division 2. And that's one, if you die, you have permadeath. And so far I'm level 9. But my play style is such that I'm kind of going right to that. I used to play on Division, I used to play Subway a lot and do that survival. And those are all kind of things I like to play that. So I'm a little more conservative. And so why do I like this build? It's useful in almost any way. The other pieces are improvised pieces. I like improvised pieces because you can put a mod in them, so you can have the fastest recharge time possible. So if you're throwing seekers, if you're doing any, you know, if you're throwing out a flame turret, if you're doing a firefly, all these things come up faster. If you're throwing out a shock field, a shock trap. Again, shock trap is a status. If you apply a status, then vial goes off. So you can throw out a shock field and it's fire and forget. And you're damaging people, you're shaping the battlefield, you're damaging them all at the same time. If you throw blind, blind is a great thing. You can pick up to 9 or 10 individual targets. But imagine in blind, where you have one target way on the left and one target way on the right, but they're clumped in both places. If you have creeping death, it passes that status effect to everyone. So this is why this is kind of my main build. You can do 90% of the content solo and group. 100% group, 100% group. Solo, not legendary. You don't have enough DPS and you don't have enough survivability. And so if we talk about legendary solo play, you have to have enough survivability because you're going to fight. Hey, I'm recording videos forever. Hey, knock it off. So you don't have enough survivability you're only fighting four guys. You're only fighting 4 people, but they just do so much damage, and they're so hard to put down, you can't kill them fast enough. So that's one of the problems when you're going legendary. You need a little bit herkier build. I ran legendary, legendary District Union with my tank build, and you got to do a hack. You got to run in. I'm sorry about the dogs, for the love of everything. I ran into on the first part of the District Union. Here, I'm going to pulse all these guys. I'm going to shut down. Oh, I don't have pulse. I have that other pulse. Sorry. He better knock him down. On legendary District Union, you can go in the little doorway in the first map, where the helicopters come down. There's a little door. You can fight them from there. You can reset the chungas when they come in if you go in the door. There's a way to do it. It takes forever. It takes forever to get them down. So it's not fun. Is it doable? Yes. So maybe you're doing legendary. Maybe you're doing legendary summit, which I've tried to do, and you run into the same problem. You probably can do it with a tankier build, but geez, okay, hey, you probably do it with a tankier build. And I've done it with one other person, but you're just going slow. Again, the benefit is maybe if you're doing, I don't know what the benefit is. It's just if you're testing yourself. So you're not gonna really do that solo legendary. There's not a real benefit for it. It's more like, your EP quotient that you can go do it. I'm trying to lead them away from the recording area. So that's what this build is about. It's I can't really find a build that DPS skill is okay, but there's a lot of, I shoot them with this weapon, I switch, and there's none of that in this build. This build, you're just doing damage to everyone. You're helping in a group. You can shape the battlefield. It's a pretty good utility build for solo, and you can do all the heroic. Oh, I apologize for these dogs. You can do all the heroic content to your heart's desire. Well, that's it for now. I'm going to go try to wrangle some dogs. I hope you have a great day. Thanks everyone for all the likes. Thank you for subscribing. Trying to get to a certain point where I could probably give you better videos, answer more questions and those kind of things. But thank you again, everyone. Appreciate all the views.
Roger. We're on the way.